Happy Friday, Advanced Algebra 2. You have made it to Friday afternoon of the first week of school. Can you believe it? So, just wanted to kind of start off with a few announcements. Let me share my screen, and as I'm doing that, I'm going to remind y'all of a few things. So, if you have not turned in your parent acknowledgement form, which is the form that's up here on the screen, or your unilateral contract. You need to get that signed and back by Monday. That way you can get a free 100. Now, with that said, in that parent acknowledgement form, it says all assignments must be turned in during the designated homework collection time. Any work turned in after this time will be considered late. A 15-point deduction per day for up to 3 days will be assessed according to LHS policy. So if you have your homework from yesterday that you have not turned in yet, you need to get that turned in ASAP. If you turn it in to me Monday and it can be shown through the attendance sheets that you've been here, Monday will be a day late. It'll be 15 points off. So make sure you're staying on top of your homework. Also, if you have not joined Google Classroom, you'll want to get that done. As of right now, it's like 6:45 on Thursday evening. But as of right now, there's 17 students that have joined, but we have 27 signed up for the class. So if you haven't accepted the invitation to Google Classroom, be sure to get that done as soon as possible. That's where I post, like for today, you can see, I'll say today, for the first lesson, you can see where I've posted the blank. Oh, that's interesting. I posted the blank assignment. I've posted the filled in notes. I need to look and see where the blank notes went to. But anyways, I post all of that stuff. And then when there's videos, like these videos you've had this week, they get posted in Google Classroom. There's a link to your online textbook in Google Classroom. So if you haven't joined, you need to join. That goes for about 10 of y'all. I mean, this is going to kind of sound mean of me, but when you start having work out of your textbook, and you're like, how can I get to my, you said there's an online textbook, how can I get to it? Look in Google Classroom. It's under class resources. Oh, there's not like a website? Well, yeah, there is, but go to Google Classroom and click on it. So, yeah, join Google Classroom if you haven't. For the 10 of y'all that haven't, you need to do it. Okay, with that said, most of today's notes will be from the handout. We have a few definitions, and if you want to squeeze on your handout somewhere, you can. Like when I did my handout, I squeezed them down here in this bottom portion. But for the sake of complete notes, I'm going to write them up above it and go from there. But we're going to look at graphing lines and writing equations of lines in all their different forms. Which that's actually what our definitions are. It's the 3 different forms for a linear equation. So first you have standard form. So standard form of a linear equation. That's the one that's in the form ax plus by equals C, where A, B, and C are going to be integers, meaning they're going to be whole numbers. With the greatest common factor of 1. And A has to be positive. So that's standard form. Standard form. AX plus BY equals C. Then we have slope-intercept form. That's the one that most of y'all are familiar with. Slope-intercept form. Again, it's the one we're all familiar with. Y equals mx plus b. Where m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. And then the last form that we're going to look at today is called point slope form. I know y'all did it in algebra. You did it some in geometry. Point slope form isn't going away. As much as we want it to, it's not going anywhere. I teach AP Calculus. We use it a lot in AP Calculus. So it's not going anywhere. Just get used to it. Y minus y1 equals your slope times x minus x1. Now this one, of course, m is still the slope. So where m is the slope, and the point x1, y1 is a point on the line. Okay. So those are our three forms of lines that we're going to use pretty much all day today. So now, whether you squeezed them on your paper somewhere, you wrote them in your notebook from yesterday, however you did it, let's look at the handout and we're going to get some practice graphing. They ask us to find the slope-intercept form, that's step 1, and then graph, that's step 2. We got to make sure we do both things they ask for. Even if you're like, but I know how to do this without, great. Follow directions. So I'm going to write our equation out to the side here. 5x equals 15y plus 30. Now I need the y to be by itself. So for now, I'm going to move this 30 over and make that 5x minus 30 equals 15y. Divide by 15. 5 over 15 reduces to 1 over 3. So I'm going to have 1/3 x minus 30 divided by 15 is 2. And then the 15's cancel. That's typically not how we write the equation of a line. We set up above in our definitions that slope-intercept form was y equals mx plus b. So I need to switch this around. By equals 1/3 x minus 2. Okay, there's what they ask us to do. So there's our first part of our answer. Then they say graph it. Well, what do we know? We know that our y-intercept, our b is -2. So I'm going to come over here on the y-axis and put a point at -2. And then we know our slope is 1/3. So from our y-intercept, we know we need to go up 1 over 3. Up 1 over 3. Up 1 over 1, 2, 3. Up 1 over 3. You don't have to put as many points as I put. If you can do 3 points and then maybe get like your ID or something out and then just draw a line through them, go for it. I'm not that good of an artist, so I like to fill up my whole graph with a ton of points. That way that gives me more opportunity for correction. So my line is as good as it can possibly be. Now I can eyeball it. There we go. There's our graph. So we did part 2 now. Okay, so there's example 1. Example 2. X plus 3/4 y equals 6. There we go. Okay, well, I'm going to write it over here. That way I have room to work with it. X plus 3/4 y equals 6. Now I know the y needs to be by itself, so I'm going to move the x over. 3/4 y equals -x plus 6. Okay, that fraction, I've got to deal with it. The way to clear a fraction is to multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply this whole thing times 4/3. That means the fraction goes away, so y equals -4/3 x. And then 6 times 4/3, it's going to be 24 divided by 3, which is 8. So plus 8. There's our equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, let's graph it. My intercept, I know is, or let me back up, my slope is -4/3. My intercept is +8. I'm going to go up here to +8. Slope is -4/3, so I go down 4, right 3. Down 4, right 3. And I keep going until I'm out of the graph. That's just how I like to do it. Again, if you don't need this many, then good for you. I'm not that perfect. Okay, there's all of our points. For the next two, we have a couple of special cases when it comes to graphing. We have x equals a number and then y equals a number. Anytime you see x equals some number, know that that means it is going to be a vertical line. Well, here, x equals 7. I'm going to go on the x-axis to 7 at a point. And then I'm just going to draw a vertical line through that point. So follow this grid line all the way down. See, I even have a grid line to follow, and I still can't draw a straight line. I think it's pretty sad. In all honesty, I could probably use a ruler and still not get a straight line. But math jokes? I'll hook you up with math jokes. Okay, so now let's look at the next one. Y equals a number. That's going to be a horizontal line. And we have y equals -4. So I'm going to go here to -4 on the y-axis, put a point, and then draw a horizontal line all the way across. Ooh, it straightened it for me. Nice. See, I knew I could draw a perfectly straight line. We'll just ignore the fact that the computer helped me do it. Okay, so there's y equals -4. Number 5. Write the equation of the line below in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. That's our key here. What form is that? What should our end answer be in? Y equals mx plus b. So do I know my intercept? Can I look at this graph and figure out my intercept? Because I need m and I need b. Well, b is at -1. There's your b. I need to get my slope. So I go down 1, 2, 3. So I go down 3 over 1, 2. So rise over run. -3 over 2. Now we just got to write the equation. Y equals -3/2 x minus 1. There's our equation. Okay, there's the front of the notes. Let's flip over to the back. The back, we got quite a bit of work to do. Okay, so on these, they ask us to write the equation of the line in point slope form first. So we do that first. Then we write it in slope-intercept form. That's second. And then we write it in standard form. So that's our third task. We've got 3 things to do for each of these next 4 problems. Okay, let's start with part 1. Part 1. Okay, align with the slope of -4/3 passing through 4/8. This one they kind of made easy for us. We got our slope, we've got our point, x1, y1. So y, now keep in mind our formula says y minus y1. So y minus -8 equals the slope, -4/3, times x minus x1. I'm going to clean this up a bit. Minus a negative gives you a what? That gives you a positive. So y plus 8 is equal to -4/3 x, or -4/3 times x minus 4. There's your point slope form. Okay? Now we're going to move to part 2. Part 2 says we need to write this now in slope-intercept form. You can do that by first distributing the negative 4/3. So y plus 8 equals negative 4/3 x plus, this will end up being 16/3. And then if we subtract the 8 to the other side, I have to do 16/3 minus 8. Let me do a little scratch work over here. It's going to be 16/3 minus, let's see, 24/3. That's negative 8/3. Okay. So y equals negative 4/3 x minus 8/3. There is our slope-intercept form. And now for the third part, we have to do it in standard form. Okay, standard form. Well, we can use our slope-intercept form and multiply that by 3. It's going to give us 3y equals negative 4x minus 8. Add your 4x over. And you're going to end up with 4x plus 3y equals negative 8. There's your standard form. So each form really stems from point slope form. If you can get it into point slope form, you can get all the rest. Let's look at the next one. Now they say the line contains the points negative 2, 4 and 3, 1. Did they give us the slope? No, so we have to find the slope. We've got to use our slope formula to find it. Remember, slope is y2 minus y1. That's going to be 1 minus 4 over x2 minus x1. 3 minus negative 2. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. 3 minus negative 2 is like saying 3 plus 2, which is 5. So there's our slope. I can take this and pick any one of my points that I want to pick and do the point slope form. I'm going to use 3, 1. So let's do point slope form. Y minus y1, so y minus 1 equals your slope. Negative 3/5 times x minus x1, so times x minus 3. There we go. There is point slope form. I don't see any minus, any negatives, so we're good there. Now let's go to the next format. Slope-intercept form. Okay, to do that, remember you've got to distribute your slope into the parentheses. So y minus 1 equals negative 3/5 times, no, negative 3/5 of x plus 9/5. And then we've got to add 1. Okay, over here to the side, let's do that 9/5 plus 1, which would be 5/5. It's going to equal 14/5. Okay. So we're going to have y equals negative 3/5 x plus 14/5. There's slope-intercept form. And then they ask us for standard form. So the quickest way to do that, multiply your slope-intercept form times 5. 5y equals negative 3x plus 14. Add your 3x. You're going to end up with 3x plus 5y equals 14. There is your standard form. So now you have all three forms for this example. Let's up the ante and go to a table. Still doing the same 3 steps, but now the data they give us is in a table, which means I've got to get the slope. So you can use any 2 points. This is a line, so you can use any 2 points that you wish. I'm just going to pick these middle 2. I need to get the slope for them. y2 minus y1. Negative 4 minus negative 7 over 6 minus 2. Negative 4 minus negative 7 gives you a positive 3. 6 minus 2 gives you a positive 4. So your slope is 3/4. Now we can do our point slope form. Again, it's a line. You can pick any point you want. I'm going to pick this. I'm just going to go with 6, 4, 6, negative 4 again. There's my point. There's my slope. Let's go on and do point slope form. Y minus y1, so y minus negative 4 equals your slope times x minus x1 to 6. Do I have any double negatives here, like minus a negative? Yes, so let's clean it up. Y plus 4 is equal to 3/4 times x minus 6. There's our point slope form. Okay, now let's go to slope-intercept form. What's the quickest way to do this? Distribute that slope. Y plus 4 equals 3/4 x minus, well, 3/4 times 6 is going to give you 18/4, which reduces to 9/2. Subtract your 4 over. We're going to do a bit of number crunching. Negative 9/2 minus 8/2 give us negative 17/2. Okay, so y equals 3/4 x minus 17/2. There's that one. And the last part of this one is putting it into standard form. Click its way, multiply everything, clear the denominators. I'm going to multiply by 4. It's going to be 4y equals 3x minus Now 17 over 2 times 4 would be like saying 17 times 2. That's going to be 34. Move my 3x over. Negative 3x plus 4y equals negative 34. Are we done? No. Remember at the beginning when I said standard form, a has to be positive. So this negative 3, I have to make it positive, which means I have to multiply everything by negative 1. So 3x minus 4y equals positive 34. There is our standard form. Okay, this is kind of getting messy quick. They ask too much. Or as y'all like to say, you do too much. You too extra. Okay, last one where we've got to do all of this stuff for a single problem. Now they give us a graph. But they don't even put points. We have to find our own points on the graph. So let's see if we can do that. Let's look for 2 nice points. Here's one right here. It is at -7, -3. And then it looks like we have another one right here. That's going to be at -4, 2. Okay. So before we can do anything, we need slope. Rise over run. How much do they rise? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Arrows 5. How much did it run? Uno, dos, tres. It ran 3. So our slope is 5 over 3. Now, what point do you want to use? It doesn't matter. I'm going to use the -7, -3. Let's do our first part. Point slope form. Y minus -3 equals your slope, 5/3, times x minus -7. Do I have any double negatives? Yes, they become positives. So y plus 3 is equal to 5/3 times x plus 7. There we go. There's that one. Okay, we need to put this into slope-intercept form now. So to do that, distribute your slope. We're going to get y plus 3 equals 5/3 x plus 35/3. And then we need to subtract 3 over. Let's see, 35/3 minus 9/3. Gonna give us what, 26/3? Okay. So y equals 5/3 x plus 26/3. Okay, there's slope-intercept form. And now for the last part. We've got to get standard form. So we're going to multiply everything by 3. 3y equals 5x plus 26. Drag the 5x over. I'm going to have to continue up here. Negative 5x plus 3y equals 26. Is our x positive? No, we have to multiply everything by negative 1. So 5x minus 3y equals negative 26. Okay. There's that one. So that's going from point slope form to slope intercept form to standard form. Okay, 2 more examples. And I promise these 2 don't ask near as much. Okay, write the equation of a line parallel to 2x minus 3y equals negative 10 that contains the point 47 in slope-intercept form. What does parallel mean? Parallel means they're going to have the same slope. And they give me a point. But I need to figure out what the slope is. So let's do that. Let's get our slope. 2x minus 3y equals negative 10. Subtract my 2x over. Negative 3y equals negative 2x minus 10. If I divide by negative 3, y is equal to 2/3 x plus 10/3. Now, I don't really need the 10/3. All I need is this slope right here. This slope, that point, and I can start writing my equation. I have a point and a slope, so I'm going to start with point slope form. Y minus y1 equals your slope times x minus x1. But we don't want it in that form. We want it in slope-intercept form. We have to convert it. Distribute your slope. Y minus 7 equals 2/3 x minus 8/3. Add your 7. We're going to do some scratch work. Negative 8/3 plus 21/3. Let's see. 21 minus 8 gives you 13. So we're going to have 13/3. Okay, y equals 2/3 x plus 13/3. There is your equation for a line that's parallel to the given line and includes the point 47. Last example. Write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to y equals negative 3x plus 2 that contains the point 2, negative 4 in slope-intercept form. Perpendicular, you'll remember, means opposite reciprocals for the slope. Opposite reciprocals. Okay, so they give us a line that's negative 3x plus 2. That need the opposite reciprocal. So that slope is negative 3 over 1. If I flip that around, take the reciprocal and then the opposite means change the sign. That becomes a slope of 1/3. So your new slope is 1/3, and they give you a point. So you got your slope, you got your point. Let's go for it. So y minus -4 equals 1/3 times x minus 2. Y plus 4 equals 1/3 times x minus 2. Distribute your slope because it needs it in slope-intercept form. Y plus 4 equals 1/3 x minus 2/3. And then we're going to subtract the 4. I'm out of room down here. So y equals 1/3 x. Let's see, -2/3 minus 12/3. I mean -14/3. And then 1/3 x minus 14/3. There's our equation. Okay, so that's it for the notes. Remember what we talked about at the beginning of the video, or at the beginning of class? Homework assignments are due the next day. So, with that being said, I'm going to sign off. That way, y'all have plenty of time to get to work. Remember, you are loved, you are created to do wonderful things, and you are awesome. Always believe.